it's Shawnee. Welcome back. I already started doing my eyes and I was like, let me turn on the camera. So we're in the office today. I think I only have 2 people coming in because it's the day before Thanksgiving. And I'm like actively watching my email because I'm like, somebody's gonna be like, never mind, I'm not coming in, which I understand. But it only took me 45 minutes to get here. So that's amazing. Apparently all it takes is for people to go on holiday and traffic's great. So let me show you my outfits. Hold on. You know, you gotta fix these things somehow, sometimes. Okay, so I have this sweater from Torrid. I'm really casual today. I like it because it's really soft. It's warm, but not too warm, and it's super roomy. These jeans are from Express. They're definitely an old pair because I had to pour myself into them. And then here are the boots. Oh. All right, and then that's it. For my eyeshadow today, I actually brought in a couple of shades, or all the shades from Natasha Denona, her Joya palette. It was like a holiday palette from long ago. I'm thinking of decluttering it, so I wanted to use it again. And then these are Sydney Grace shades from my Focus palette. That's a palette of 12 matte shades from Sydney Grace that I've been using throughout the year. So I've started going in with this shade. I've already put on some moisturizer. Oop. It is the Pharmacy Honey Halo moisturizer. And then I went in with this NYX Proof It primer. Okay. So yeah, I figured this would be like a chill, get ready with me. You know, just put me on in the background. So glad I have some time. I don't think a lot of people, if any, are gonna be. No, I hear somebody. Okay, I wonder who's here. Let me text everybody. So this is gonna be super chill, y'all. I wonder who's here. Okay. I'm contrary. So of course I have news stories, child. When do I not? But last night, usually I go to bed early on the nights before I come into the office because since my commute is often so long, like I have to get up an hour and a half, about an hour and a half earlier than normal. But last night, instead of doing that, I was like tidying up. I put in fresh sheets on the bed. I vacuumed everything at the upstairs because the downstairs has wood flooring. Vacuumed the upstairs. I turned the air filters on to high. I also have put new filters in my vacuums. What else did I do? Mainly I did all of that because if you don't know, G is my boo. G might be coming by today for a bit, just before all the holiday shenanigans. And he is allergic to pet hair, to cats, he says. So I'm like, dude, it's the whole house. Everything is as filtered as it can get. Cause Rose has to be there. Like, we're a package deal. But he keeps allergy medicine at my house. But it's often easier. We just like spend time at his house. But child, when I tell you, I'm so glad he saw my house before I saw his house. Because my house is cute. Don't get it twisted. But you know, it's not a huge house. Not a huge house. So you know, when we first started dating, he came by and he was like, oh, your house is so nice. So, you know, he was really nice about it. And then I went to his house. When I tell you, the master bedroom is like the size of my entire upstairs. I was like, he was so sweet about my house, and then I go to his and I'm like, this is big. Oh my God. No, I love my house. I'm very proud of it, okay? But I was like, okay. So a lot of times we just spend time at his house because, you know, I don't have to worry about the allergies and stuff. But he was like, well, I haven't died before coming to your house, so I'm like, okay, boo-boo. But he does have allergy meds at my house. So I think we're gonna chill at my place tonight rather than at his. I like his bed better than mine, though. That's why I always want to be there. It's so much more comfortable, and it's huge. Dirty. Anyway, I do have some news stories for you. Hopefully you didn't mind that little look into my life. Okay. Y'all, did you hear that Snoop Dogg was like, he came out and said that he was gonna quit smoking? I knew it was a lie. It's a big old lie. Snoop Dogg is not quitting smoking. It has something to do with like a barbecue grill or something. I don't even know. Where is the... Somebody is definitely here. So there was this lady who moved into like a new neighborhood. I think she's a single woman. She moved. You know, she's getting adjusted to the place, just kind of seeing everything that's going on. So one day she goes to work and she comes back home. Let me use this shade. And she notices that like her lawn is mowed, her like there are plants that are potted, you know, and she's like, wow, okay. So she thought her cousin did it because she and her cousin had been talking about him coming by and just like doing the landscaping, fixing up the place, right? Hold on, let's divert for a second. Like maybe 2 weeks ago, somebody was just ringing my doorbell. Now, I was in the middle of a session. I don't answer the door when I'm in the middle of a session. Like, read the sign. It says, do not disturb. But this person kept ringing and ringing and ringing. So I opened the door. I told my client, like, excuse me for a second. I opened the door. It was virtual. I opened the door and there's some lady standing there and she's like, hi, I'm such and such from the Homeowners Association. Were you at the meeting last night? You know I wasn't at the meeting. Don't play. You know I wasn't at the meeting. And I was like, no. She was like, oh, so you probably didn't hear that you need to like clean your gutters. Ma'am, I know. I have, Omar is gonna come and clean them. And I was like, yeah, I know, I'm gonna get them done. And she was like, yeah, you know, we just need you to get it done. And then she starts going on and talking. And I was like, ma'am, I'm working. I'm in the middle of a session. And she's like, oh, are you a doctor? I don't have time to talk, lady. I don't have time to talk. But you know what? It really annoyed me because there's this huge tree in my front yard. So when the seasons change, it's just all these leaves, y'all. Sometimes I feel like I have to swim through them. But Omar will come and clean them up when I call him, right? But a few years ago, I was like, homeowner people, am I supposed to prune this tree? Because I was walking outside and I'm relatively tall and like branches were like knocking me in the head, right? I emailed them. It took them a good I emailed them in like November. It took them until like March to do this, to cut the tree a little bit. And then I get this email from them So either an email or a letter, and they were like, you have a broken screen. We need you to fix it. And again, I'm like, I know. I'm gonna get these things done, okay? I have a plan. And that was on my list of things to get done. And they were like, you have 2 weeks to do it. Girl, I sent back a letter and I was like, it took you 3-4 months to cut this tree. So that's how long it's going to take me to get this screen fixed. They didn't say anything after that. I mean, I got it fixed in like a week. But still, don't tell me how soon I'm supposed to get stuff done and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It took you 3 months, so it's going to take me 3 months. Playing with me. But anyway, so this lady moves into this new house, and she comes home. Everything is like landscaped and like nice and pretty. And so she's like calling her cousin, and she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. And the cousin is like, I didn't do that. So she's just like, well, who came and did all this to my, like, cut the lawn, cut the grass, planted stuff. So like a day or so later, this guy comes to her door, and he was like, hey, I've lived here for like 30-40 years, and I keep up the lawn for everyone in the area. Maybe it was 20 years. And he was like, so I did all of this, and, you know, it's usually like $150. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. So you did it for free, you know, as I'm moving into the neighborhood. That's like so nice. And he's like, no, it's $150. And she was like, but I didn't ask you to do this. I'm going with the shade. She's like, sir, I didn't ask you to come and do this to my lawn. You know, I didn't ask you. And he's like, it's $150. So she's like, I'm not going to pay you for something I didn't ask you to do. So then apparently he asks her, well, when do you get paid? And she's like, that's none of your business. And he's like, because you don't have to pay me right now. You can just pay me when you get paid. And she is like, sir, I'm not paying you nothing. So he goes away, and she's thinking it's done. She comes home, and there is a note on her door talking about, you owe me $150. So I guess she gets on social media, and she's like, should I give this man some, like, the money? And I'm like, no, you didn't ask him to do it. You didn't ask this man to do it. You better call the police and tell them he was trespassing or something. So I'm wondering, would you give this man $150? The only reason I feel like I might is because I wouldn't want any trouble with him. But then if you do it once, you're probably going to have to do it again, right? I didn't ask you to do this, sir. Like, I really just didn't. Who does that? So let me know. Would you pay this man $150? Because it also seems like she's a single woman, potentially like living alone. So part of me is like, you know, you wanna not put yourself in like dangerous situations. But how you gonna just come up to my house and do all this yard work? I didn't ask you, and then now you talking about I owe you $150. It's actually a pretty good price. But you know, who does that? Like, that's not neighborly. It's not neighborly. It's not. I wonder if she has a homeowners association so that she can be like, no. You're doing too much. Speaking of the holiday and, you know, indigenous and Native American folks. So this one young man went to school, and you know, there are rules at school for how you're supposed to dress, how your hair can be, blah blah. So for boys, they're not supposed to have hair past their collar. But this young man is, you know, very connected to his tribe, that his family is part of, and so he's growing his hair out as most of the males in the tribe do. But the school sends home a letter, and they're like, he's violating the dress code because his hair needs to be shorter. And so the mom like sends a letter and talks to the school folks, and she's like, well, can we make an exception because this is part of his culture, part of his heritage, and he's really proud of it, and it really signifies his connection to who he is. And they're like, no. They're like, if you can't cut his hair, then he can no longer attend this school. And then they're like, you could potentially email the board or whomever is in charge of the district and see if they'll give you an exception. So she has emailed and called and hasn't gotten a response. And so she's like, what are we supposed to do? A lot of y'all are parents, so I want to know what you would do. Tell me what you would do. And little boy wanted to keep going to school, so he cut his hair. And now he's like super distressed about it. So on one hand, I understand that you have a dress code, but on the other hand, I don't feel like it's like a dress code that is culturally competent, because this is not the first time someone has been told to cut their hair. And usually they are people of color. So I don't know if you've heard stories of kids having like dreadlocks or twists or something, and being told to cut their hair, even though it's like neat. These young kids, their hair is not just all over the place. Like, there are neat styles. And I don't know if you know, but oftentimes things like twists or braids, they are protective styles so that your hair is not getting all tangled and manipulated too much and dried out. So they're protective styles. But there was another story. Let's start going into the shimmers. There was another story about a young man who, this was an African-American young man, and he was also told that he needed to cut his hair or else he couldn't attend the school anymore. I don't believe that he cut his hair because the family was like, well, we can tie it up, you know. I don't believe he cut his hair, so they took him out of that school. It's just, as a parent, what would you do? And maybe, you know, I think that part of it is a cultural experience for some folks, because yeah, like, these hairstyles like signify something, you know. Even like, I don't think people take dreads as seriously as they used to. Maybe like, my dad had dreadlocks and I was thinking of getting them, and before he would even like entertain the idea to like help me, he wanted me to read all these things to understand the significance of dreads and things like that. And I was like, Daddy, I don't have time for that, okay? So I'm just not gonna do them. But there is like some cultural significance to dreadlocks. Anyway, so I'm wondering what you would do, because I feel like I would be like in a pickle, because I need my child to go to school, but I also want my child to be able to feel connected to their heritage and their culture. So I don't know. There's something about it that feels very, I don't know. Because then I'm also thinking, well, if you do an exception for one person, would you have to do it for another, you know? But like, it just feels a little unfair. Not that life is fair, but now this little boy feels like he's not as connected to his culture. Sounds like he feels like just uncomfortable. And all because he wanted to go to school. I don't know. I mean, I went to private school my whole life. And there was always a dress code. I don't necessarily remember anything about hair. I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me know what you think. So I felt some kind of way about it. And I think part of it is like just hearing how the young man is feeling and having to make that choice as a child. That feels, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So tell me what you think, or how you would make the decision, because it seems like a difficult one. Do I like take my child out of school where he is connected to people, or do I have him cut off this like significant part of him? I remember years ago when there was a wrestler who had dreads and they were like, you can't continue, and the coach like cut his hair right in the back. So I don't know. I don't think the rules and laws and stuff really take into account the cultural implications. So let me know what you think. Have y'all heard about the woman who her Stanley Cup, like those big water jug things, it survived a fire? So her car caught on fire and it just burned to a crisp. Like nothing is left. Like it's totaled. And she goes on social media, because it doesn't happen for real if it's not on social media. And she holds up her Stanley Cup and she's like, this cup survived a car fire. And she was like, there's still ice in there. I don't know if that part is true. So people are like, oh my God, this is the best advertising, blah, blah, blah. Sorry you lost your car. So the Stanley Cup people, they're like, okay, we'll get you a new one. And they were like, and we're going to buy you a new car. Ciao, and I tell you, don't none of y'all go catch nothing on fire trying to get a new car from the Stanley Cup people. But listen, now I'm gonna put everything on social media and be like, look, this like lasted through the fire, give me a new car. What am I doing? Oh, time for makeup. So there's this other story. Do you have, like, if you have kids in college, maybe you can weigh in on this one. Having worked in a university for like 10 years, having been in school for, 30, I feel like I'm not surprised that this came up. So there was this little couple, right? A boyfriend and girlfriend, and I think they went to different schools or something. So he's on the football team, and he had like a big game the next day. So his girlfriend like drives down to the school to just like be supportive to him. But if you're an athlete, like the night before, you gotta make sure you get your rest. Like you can't be out here playing games, because you have a big game the next day. So she drives down and she gets there pretty late. And boyfriend is like really surprised, and it's like really nice. And he lives in the residence halls. I'm gonna go in with the Urban Decay all-nighter primer. He lives in the residence halls, and so they have like rules about overnight guests. And so he's like, can't stay here because like guests are supposed to be gone by now. So she wants to be a supportive girlfriend. This woman sleeps in her car outside in the 45-degree weather. And of course they get on TikTok to tell the story. I stayed out in the cold for my man in the 45-degree weather. Girl, if I had a child that did that, Like, girl, we're gonna need to have a discussion. And we're gonna need to have a discussion with you too, sir. Because how you gonna let this woman sleep in her car while you all warm and like cuddled up in your bed, she outside cold? Like, you didn't think to sleep in the car with her, or y'all couldn't afford a little janky motel? Or what college student do you know that listens to the rules? Because I don't know any of them. I mean, like, I was a rule follower and we still had people in our room. Like, come on now. I don't know why this man didn't want that girl in his room, but some name right here. I'm going in with the CoverFX PowerPlay foundation in the shade D4. This is the new formulation. And like, they're on social media just cheesing and like, I'm a supportive girlfriend, ride or die. Girl, you about to die sleeping in that 45-degree weather outside. Y'all just want to get on here and be stupid. Like, I think they deleted the video because I don't believe they got the response that they were wanting. I guess they might have wanted people to be like, oh my God, goals. Nah, girl. You slept in the 45-degree weather in your car. I mean, I hope you got a good 8 hours of sleep, but that's not cute. That's not cute at all. I can't think of any situation of where I would do that. Maybe if my partner's in the emergency room, but then I'm gonna sleep in the, like, I'm gonna find a place to sleep in the hospital, okay? I don't know what reason I would have to sleep in the 45-degree weather in my car for a man. Why the thing is, if he was in the car, maybe it'd be different. But you are literally upstairs in your warm, heated room, in your nice bed with a mattress under the covers, and I'm out here, and I bet you he slept like a baby. Like a baby that sleeps through the night. I bet you he was not worried about this girl. And see, this is how I can always tell when people don't have good friends. If I text messaged any of you, some of us are friends and like off the YouTubes, but let's just say I just messaged you real quick because you left a comment. And I was like, so I think I'm gonna stay in the car. It's a little chilly, but it's not that bad. I think I'm gonna stay in the car outside my boyfriend's dorm because, like, he needs to chill before the game tomorrow. And also, like, he said that he can't have any guests right now. What would you tell me? Because I feel like I know my subs pretty well. I don't think there's not one of y'all that would be like, that's a good idea. Like, I feel like most of y'all would be like, are you okay? Like, should we call Jan or Erica or Jessa? Because do we need to get Tracy or Mary to like come and get you? Because you might be having some sort of psychological break. I wish somebody would. Child, if my niece who's in her 20s, if she ever called me to tell me that, you know, I'd probably be like, you know what? Stay a little behind in that car then. Stay in there. Do you, boo. I'm gonna go in with the Becca under eye brightener. Y'all, if you plan on doing that, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't come and call me either. You about to freeze. He better have won that daggone game. Because I don't think that shows that you're a good, dedicated girlfriend. And 45 degrees is actually not that bad in my opinion. But if you 45 degrees, I'm usually in my house, you know, with my heat on. I'm not trying to stay out here. She probably didn't sleep not one wink. And with it being a college, I know there's hotels around there. So you had enough to drive however many hours to come see this man. Girl, you should have saved some money to get a little hotel. Or it sounds like y'all don't have the kind of relationship you thought you did, because I'm sorry. If my partner was like, girl, you gotta sleep in, you gotta go ahead in the car, like I would have just driven back home. Like, girl, don't be doing all this for these people, y'all. Don't be doing all this. Love don't keep you warm. It sure ain't gonna keep you warm in this 45-degree weather while you sleeping in your car. And I'm like, where exactly did she park? Because these college campus parking is not good. It's not only that, it's expensive. So I'm just like, girl, this whole thing sounds like a bad idea, and it would have been fine if you didn't tell us. But now you got yourself all up on social media talking about, this is what I do for my man. Maybe I don't love nobody like that then, because I would not do it. I would not. I can't even. The only people. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. Like, you just gonna have to sneak me into your dorm room. I don't understand. Like, he went on ahead and went to his bed, girl. He didn't think twice about you sleeping out there. I hope you had a good jacket. Let me see if they said anything else. I'm real disappointed in her. So, according to like the comments, a lot of people think she should leave her boyfriend. Other people think she's a supportive partner. Homegirl said the girlfriend, she didn't care that her boyfriend had her sleep outside in her car. She was like, I didn't even like ask him because he has a game. I don't really care, and I didn't know I was going to be cold. And he's like, see, and just her doing that just shows me how much I appreciate her and how much she appreciates me. So apparently in the middle of the night, one of the RAs came and was like, she can't be here because visitation hours are up. Had her behind in the bathroom or in the closet. And unless y'all was making noise, that RA is not coming, because they gonna be asleep. Like, they do rounds and stuff, but that don't make no sense. Like, they're not gonna necessarily come into your room unless there's some shenanigans happening and it's loud. She said that she was uncomfortable with shivering and couldn't sleep. The worst part, he physically walked her to the car, left her there, and then went back to his room. Y'all, don't let nobody do that. Don't let nobody do that. I don't have nothing else to say about that. I don't know who's more of a fool. I was talking to one of my best friends like years ago, and we were talking about the idea of being ride or die for your mans or for your partner, whatever gender or gender non-conforming, whoever your partner is. And I'm like, sometimes you're gonna die because you can't ride or die everything, you know, like just because you are there's a limit. There's a limit. I'm sorry. There's a limit. We can't be riding until we die, y'all. There's a limit. We can't be riding until we die. I'm gonna ride or die to an extent. Because I'm gonna need you to be riding too. Oh, that make me so angry. Got this girl out here in the 45-degree weather like she ain't got no daggone sense. Neither one of y'all got sense. Put it together, both like you got one brain cell between the two of you. And don't be putting all this stuff up on social media. Don't be putting all this stuff up on social media. Because now you the girl that drove how many hours, walked into your boyfriend's dorm. He walked you right back out and told you to sleep in your car. I'm sorry. Now here's another one I kind of want your opinion on. So there's this couple in Oregon. A married couple. A married heterosexual couple. So the man is 75 years old. His wife is a little younger. She's 53. So their 13-year-old Maltipoo unfortunately died about a year ago. And they decided to pay a taxidermist almost $3,000 to stuff the deceased dog. And now the stuffed dog, sits in his favorite spot and guards the house, according to them. Apparently they still kiss and stroke the dog. He's literally just perched up on the window. And they feel like Sparky, that's his name, was like reborn. So they never want to physically say goodbye to Sparky. So that's why they consulted. That's why they consulted the taxidermist. Like they kiss and pet him, like when he was alive. They talk to him like he's still alive. I'm looking at this through the eyes of a psychologist. Sounds like we need to work on some healthy grieving. You know what? Maybe part of this is healthy, like, you know, memorializing your dog. The part that is giving me pause, well, the entire thing is, but you're treating the dog as if it were alive because you don't want to say goodbye. That's where it starts to be, in my opinion, a little concerning, a little unhealthy, a little psychologically not okay. I feel like there are some instances where I'll be like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But the part where you don't want to say goodbye, so that's why you stuff the animal and you have it sitting by the window and you be kissing and petting it like if it's alive. What you gonna do when a human dies? What you gonna do with that? You gonna try to get that stuffed as well? Because that's not okay. That's not okay. How how do people come up with this stuff? maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's some sort of, maybe you can share with me like the thought process behind that, because taxidermy is fine. The thing though is the whole piece about them not wanting to say goodbye and them still treating the dog Sparky as if he were alive. And how y'all get in the news? You know how you got in the news? Because someone thought this is weird. Not that you shouldn't do weird things. I'm concerned about this little couple. I'm concerned. Yeah. I'm a little concerned. I'm more than a little concerned. I'm full on concerned, 100%. Yeah. Now, let's end with maybe the best story. So this woman goes on Hinge, dating app. She's in New York, and she meets up with this guy. She said he kind of has this Vin Diesel look to him. And, you know, at the beginning of the date, she was already like, okay, this is gonna be a one and done, right? Because he walks in, so she's 34. I don't know that it says how old he's 45. So, you know, you think a 45-year-old man, maybe they have some sense. Debatable. So he comes in and he's 7 figures in debt. So he wants a woman who is financially independent. Listen, that's a lot of money in debt. I have a full-on PhD and I'm not quite there with 7 figures. That's a lot of money. So how you get there, first of all? And then he goes on to talk about how he's beaten cancer. So he starts with that he beat cancer, and then immediately is like, what do you think about threesomes? What's the connection right there? What's the connection? I don't know. And then he was telling her about all his furniture, his expensive furniture, and how much he pays in rent. And he was like telling her that she was beautiful and like playing with her hair. But she was like, I don't think I want to see him again. So the next morning she wakes up to some texts from said date. And he says, I was expecting to date the woman from the photos. I'm happy to casually stay in touch until the weight is gone and then we can see. Now, okay, because if you've ever dated from a dating app, you notice some people show up and they don't look nothing like they photo. Girl, they don't look nothing like they photo. I will say that every time I've gone on a date, they say that I look even better than my photos. I'm just putting that out there. Okay. But then he decided that he was going to rate her. So, like on a scale. So the scale is personality and sexual compatibility on a scale of 1 to 10. He gave her personality a 10. Thanks. He gave her face a 10. And then he gave their sexual compatibility a 5. I don't know how he figured that out. And he says, but we can get to 8.5 with some convincing and some open-mindedness. She's real nice because she didn't put his name in the post. Well, she's better than me because I probably would have put his name all up and through it. He said, to be totally honest, there was some misleading from your photos. Maybe there was. I don't know. I don't want to come across as rude or insensitive, which as soon as you start that means you're going to come across as rude and insensitive. But I'm a very honest and upfront person. I hate when people do that because honesty doesn't mean you have to be an ass. I was expecting to date the woman from the photos. And then he goes on about until you lose the weight. It's up to you if you're okay with that. If not, I understand. That's real bold and brazen. Like, that's real. That's real bold and brazen. Like, you're not a peach, sir. You don't seem like the peachiest of peaches on the... Do peaches grow on trees? Whatever it is. You don't seem like the peachiest, but you over here talking about if you lose the weight, you may be an 8.5. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. So, needless to say, she didn't contact him back. She should have put his name out there, though. Like, okay, maybe you're not as attracted to the person as you thought you would be. That's fine. The part that is shady is that he texted her this, but then you was up there touching on her and saying she was beautiful and playing in her hair and all kinds of stuff. All of a sudden you wake up tonight and you're like, I'm gonna send her this text. I have a feeling that she like turned him down for something and he was real upset in his feelings, like the children say. Let me finish everything up and then I'll come back and say bye. So here's the finished look, and that's it for me today. I might try to upload this today. Maybe I'll have a video tomorrow. But hopefully you have a good rest of the week. I'm hoping that you can spend some time with family. If not, girl, come spend some time with me. Okay, what else? So make sure to leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about the woman who's supposed to pay $150 to the man who landscaped her home and she didn't ask for it. The young man who had to cut his hair for school. The girl who slept in her car in the 45-degree weather. And what was this other one? Was that the last story I told you about? The dating app guy who was like shady. Let me know what you think. I always love hearing your takes on things. Yeah. I hope that some of this was helpful. I hope that you are taking care of yourself. I also hope that my randomness has brought you a little bit of joy. I would love it if you like the video. I would love it even more if you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave me a comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.